Yeah, a very warm good morning to one and all. So let me welcome you all on this 10th day of a niche area of excellence training program, which is on journey of Pearl Millet from land to lab to plate. And again, today we are fortunate to have our course director with us, Dr. Shelly Praveen ma'am. And introduction. So on first talk itself, we have given a very elaborative introduction. So today, ma'am, she is going to unfold one of the most promising product which division of biochemistry they have developed, and it's in demand. It's basically a buzzing word in the area of pearl millet, that is halur. So today, ma'am, she is going to give a talk on unfolding the story of halur, and she is the inventor of this particular halur technology. So I think she'll be the best person to explain about the story of this halur. So with this brief note, now I invite course director Dr. Shelly Praveen ma'am to please share the story of this promising product halur. Ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Ranjan. And it's always a pleasure to be with all of you who are showing interest in the area of pearl millet research. And from the last 3 to 4 years, we are in this area. And when we started the pearl millet research, that time it was not considered as a very important crop. But within 1 year, Government of India has labeled them as nutri-cereals. So thus we started before they were labeled as nutri-cereals. And as we progressed and the things are moving in the right directions, and I'm really very glad to share with you that UN has declared 2023 as an International Year of Millets. So that clearly shows that globally the millets are now catching up. And if you see the area under cultivation,
अच्छी सेटिंग की हमने ना
Ma'am, your voice is not audible. Yeah, please.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Now, now it is, I am audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then I have to start it again. So warm welcome to all of you, and thanks to Dr. Ranjan, who is coordinating this program very well. And welcome to this group of millets, especially the pearl millet. And from the last 10th day, and today is the 10th day. So from the last 10 days, you are hearing only millets, millets and pearl millet. And I am quite sure that within few days, you will start consuming millet on a daily basis, or at least 2 or 3 times in a week. And I will cite some examples. If you start doing this, what are the benefits? So I want to tell you that we started working on pearl millet in the year 2017. And that time pearl millet was not a very big crop, and people think it rice and wheat, everybody talk, and all the breeders and every efforts are dedicated to only the major crops. And millet is all that time was considered as an orphan crop. But in 2018, Government of India took the initiative, and by realizing the importance of the nutrition present in these coarse millet grains, they were labeled as nutri-cereal. So that was our first win, when in the Gazette of India, 9 different millets are labeled as nutri-cereal, and prominently among the 9, pearl millet is the most prominent based on the area of cultivation. So from that gives us encouragement, and we started working on the nutritive quality of millets. And from the last 9 days, you must be hearing different aspects of pearl millet research, right from nutrition to keeping quality and so on. So with this, we started, and the last 3 years journey is very fruitful. And last week only, when UN has declared 2023 as an International Year of Millet, then definitely it is going to be a boom for us. Why? Because very few players are there in this millet research. Secondly, India is the largest country which is growing millet So if you Google and see which country is growing the millets, and then the number one country is India. So that clearly shows that there is a lot of export potential. First, we have to see our in-house demand, and then we have to look forward for the export potential. Keeping these two things in mind, that within 2 to 3 years, the momentum with which pearl millet is going to be in market is much more as compared to previous year. It was our duty to think collectively how best we can take forward this product into the market. So last year we were when sitting and discussing about the millet. Last year was a low profile year. You all know, because of the COVID-19 situation, and there were lockdowns and the budgets are very low. So that time we were thinking how to go ahead in the research area with a very low budget. So we were just thinking in the month of May that because that time budget was not released, and throughout in the country the point mentioned by the government is that it's a very few budget will come to research, and whatever budget coming to institutes is only going for salaries. So we were not having a single budget to do any research. But at the same time, we have to keep the pace of the whatever ongoing activity we were having. So we thought, let's start something low end research by having a very low inputs. So in May, we were starting that what are the agriculture commodities which we are importing from the market, global market. And we were just looking at the list, and we saw gluten as one of the product. Since we are working on nutrition and the secondary agriculture, it is good to see what are the secondary agriculture product India is importing. So a good chunk of money is going for this gluten imports. Then we thought gluten extraction is not a very difficult process biochemically. Why can't we do it here? And we have so much of surplus wheat with us, and you can very well see that even after MSP requirements for wheat crop procurement, even then the wheat is not fully sold in the market, and government who is procuring this wheat from at MSP prices, there is no place for the government to keep this wheat for storage. So in
Sir, not audible.
Just I request, yeah, I request all the panelists, please mute yourself because it's disturbing the flow. In between, you are just unmuting and then a lot of sound are coming from backside.
Yeah, that is why I think Dr. Ranjan is muting everybody, and in that way I was also muted.
Yes, ma'am.
So please mute so that those who are interested, at least they can listen to, and those who are not interested, they can be away from the meeting. So I was just telling about that we were having a surplus wheat, and the gluten extraction process biochemically we can do it at our labs. So that is how we started working on extraction of gluten from wheat. And once we were doing it, you all know, most of you are present here are biochemists, and you know that gluten protein is nothing but a combination of two different proteins, gliadins and glutenin. And if these are extracted in a in an optimum conditions of temperature, and the moisture and drying is under a very optimum concentration without denaturing the protein, you are able to regenerate this gluten again for giving elasticity. So that is really a very tricky point, because earlier people were thinking it is very easy to extract gluten. Okay, we know that you just make a dough and then wash it several times. You keep the starch is washed away, and whatever left is a protein, which is a gluten. Up to that, it is very easy to do. But to dry it into the form of a powder, and then try to regenerate it so that again the gliadin and glutenin present will come forward to make a network whenever they will get moisture and some energy. So that is a regenerative vital wheat gluten. That was the challenge. If you go and see in the market, you will get several type of gluten, but their regeneration capacity into the flour again varies from one to one. And it was very difficult to judge or measure this regenerative capacity. Why? Because when we saw that why India is importing so much of gluten, then we thought that it is all being used in the bakery products. So bakery products, all the bakery products use wheat flour. But to improve upon the elasticity, they are adding gluten from outside. So that whatever bread or dough they are making for making breads, the elasticity of the dough will be more. That is why they are adding more gluten from outside. So if they are adding gluten from outside, the regenerative power of that added gluten is difficult to measure because the wheat, originally what they are using is also having gluten. So how much they are adding from outside and whether that is 100% regenerative and giving the elasticity, it is difficult to measure. So that was a difficulty when we were extracting gluten, that whatever the powder we are getting is able to make the dough elastic or not. So for that purpose, we thought it is good to use this gluten regeneration into any other flour which is not having gluten originally. So no point of seeing its ability in wheat again. It is better to see its regenerative ability in any other flour which lacks gluten. So since we were working on pearl millet, we thought let's try on pearl millet because it is not having a gluten in itself. So let's see if we add this regenerative vital wheat gluten into the pearl millet flour, then whether we will get the elasticity, viscoelasticity, same as that of wheat flour. So that is the starting point of making hallur. So that time our objective was not to make hallur. Our objective was just to test the quality of our extracted gluten. And pearl millet was just an experiment to know the quality of the regenerative vital wheat gluten. So that is what I wish to share with you, that sometimes you do research in one area and it leads to product in another area. So that we used several extraction methods, and then every time we try to regenerate into pearl millet flour and just measuring all the parameters of viscoelasticity, tensile strength, water absorption capacity, and so on. So that was the experiment we started with, and ultimately we are able to get a very good quality gluten, which is more than 90% regenerative. So that is really a hallmark, and we developed a patent on gluten extraction method. But at the same time, since every time we are doing experiment on pearl millet, and whenever we are seeing the dough making quality and the chapati making quality of the pearl millet, and the people present here in this division, they consume those chapatis, everybody was very happy to have that type of pearl millet chapati with the gluten. Then we thought, while we are patenting the gluten extraction method, it is good to develop a pearl millet flour with the gluten in it as a product. So with this, we started working that how much concentration, and there are several parameters of dough making. So that time we realized that even dough making is a very big science. So generally we see dough making is just you take any flour, and if you are having some gluten or non-gluten flour also, you just take some water and you go for kneading, and that's it. But how to improve upon the dough making? if you use a warm water, what will happen? If you use a very high pressure of kneading, what will happen? So that time we started learning the science of dough making. And there are at least 10 different parameters. I hope Dr. Vinutha took this class for developing ferrinographs. Dr. Ranjan, वो हो गई है क्लास डॉक्टर विनुथा की?
Yes, ma'am. She had already presented that.
Okay. So you all know that the kind of research on dough making, and you develop a ferrinograph, and based on those ferrinographs, you can come what is the best dough with respect to the tensile strength, viscoelasticity, water absorption capacity, and so on. So by doing all those research on dough making, we are able to come up with a final concentration of regenerative vital wheat gluten, which is required to make a perfect dough with the pearl millet flour. And that is how the origin of Hallur began. Now, when we were naming this product, several names came to our mind. Since it's a pearl millet crop, what different name we can give and how we can attract people to start utilizing pearl millet. So when we were seeing the historical part of pearl millet, we saw that even in the archaeological sites during the Neolithic times, there are some literature available, and these archaeological literature says that in Karnataka, there is a district called Haveri. So in Haveri district, they got certain archaeological site is there, which reflects that even in the Neolithic times, pearl millet is considered as one of the staple food. So we wanted to relate this product with the wisdom of our ancestors, that even at that time, Neolithic time, you can imagine, no science was there that time. But even then, people were considering pearl millet as one of their food crops. So keeping that into mind, we name it as Hallur. So Hallur is a place in Haveri district, and archaeological sites suggest this site that pearl millet was a staple crop during this time. So we named it as Hallur. So it is not only just adding gluten into a pearl millet flour and then making chapatis. Then we did a lot of other parameters, which I think Dr. Veda has already shown. The different studies of FTIR and then starch digestion kinetics by XRD. The point is that nature has not created gluten in pearl millet. So this is an added protein from outside, which is developing a network between the gliadins and glutenins. So in wheat, it is naturally created. So once it develops a network, all other macromolecules like your starch, proteins, lipids, or whatever minerals or whatever micronutrients and macronutrients are there, they are developing a kind of a network with this gluten. So gluten is developing a network, and within this network, all things will be embedded. So this is naturally created in wheat, but it is not naturally created in pearl millet. So once we created this network into pearl millet, then we wanted to know what type of network with the already existing macromolecules is developed once we are making a dough and a chapati. So several studies were carried out, interaction between the protein and carbohydrate, or protein, carbohydrate, and lipids. So confocal studies, FTIR studies, and XRD studies. I think by now they all have discussed these different parameters which we did. And beside that, it is good to see the protein availability, because after a network is developed and a food matrix is built up, what is the bioavailability of different macronutrient? Is there any change? Is that change is in favor of our nutrition or it is hampering our nutrition? That is also important. So several tests were carried out about the bioavailability of protein. Since bajra is very rich in protein, 12% protein in one of the cultivar. So we wanted to know the bioavailability is affected or not, but it was not affected. Then we thought of uh, carrying out the experiment of starch hydrolyzation. So it is bajra is good for good in resistant starch, and a very less amount of sugar is released if you consume bajra as compared to wheat and rice. So we wanted to know that once we are developing this gluten network, whether there is some effect on the starch digestibility. So that is the all the work Dr. Veda has taken up, and we have come up with the glycemic potential of bajra. And protein bioavailability work is totally taken up by Dr. Vinutha, and she has seen that bioavailability by BD-CAS process, which we have developed here at Biochemistry Division. So we found that it's not much affected, but at the same time, if you go for the organoleptic properties, then the chapati prepared by using gluten in it is tasting much, much better than the normal bajra. So that is still pending with us, why there is a taste enhancement because of the network development. That we have not addressed at the moment, but it's, as a product, it is a good thing for us. So if you consume a normal bajra chapati and a bajra chapati of Hallur, there is a lot of difference. In texture, definitely yes, because the dough making is good. The softer chapatis are now, you can make it. So when we started working on bajra, we thought why bajra is not popular. Then the first question came that bajra is not popular because it will get rancid very soon. So the first assignment we took, okay, we will develop some technique by which rancidity can be controlled. So that was the project given to us in this niche area of excellence. And Dr. Ranjan, Dr. Suneha, and Dr. Vinutha, along with Dr. Archana Sasdev and Dr. Veda, they took a lot of efforts in developing different parameters of nutritional enhancement and to take care of rancidity. So Dr. Vinutha must have explained you about the HTIR process. For that process also, we developed a patent. And this process makes the rancidity, the problem of rancidity can be overcome by HTIR treatment, and the flour is good enough for 6 months of storage. So that was the first constraint. We thought it is okay. The second constraint was that people are not encouraging. Even people like me, since we are working from last 3 years, and we know that it is very nutritionally rich, but in our day-to-day life, we are not eating bajra chapati. So wherever I am going and taking lectures on bajra, everybody used to ask me, how many times in a week you are eating bajra? So that was really difficult to answer. I am promoting bajra to everyone that it has iron, zinc, protein, this and that. But I myself cannot eat bajra on the daily basis or a weekly basis. The major constraint, what I felt is that it is really difficult to make chapatis very quickly. So most of the urban areas where both husband and wife are working, it's difficult that we always go for wheat chapatis because it's easy to make a dough and you can keep that dough in your fridge for 2 to 3 days. You can use the same dough. But for making bajra chapati, every time you have to make a fresh dough. And that is why every time we pushed it only for the weekends or for some holiday. कि छुट्टी आएगी तो बाजरा की रोटी बनाएंगे, रोज बाजरा की रोटी बनाना मुश्किल काम है. So for that reason, I thought if the bajra roti can easily be prepared as that of your wheat roti, then people like me will also shift to bajra. So with Hallur in place, I am telling you that now this is possible. You can make a dough, you can keep it in the fridge as you are keeping in the fridge for wheat dough, and roll your chapatis as easy as you are rolling your chapatis for wheat, and a very, very soft chapati you can develop using this flour. So that is the second bottleneck to make bajra popular. So these two things now, shelf life has increased and roti making is easy. Now halloor is in a big demand. So that is the way we started with halloor. And from the last 6 months, honestly, I'm telling you that I am consuming bajra on the regular basis. And happy to share with you that last week I went for my routine test, health checkup. Every year I am going for a health checkup. And sometimes as you age 50 plus, you have some parameter this side and that side. And every year when my parameters are not sometimes here and there, I always want to cure those parameters by way of my diet only. I don't want to take any pills. So this time, I just want to mention two things that um, maybe many other factors are there. I'm not just giving all the credit to halloor. There are several other parameters which I am following. From last 3 months, I am able to manage my weight and I lost 9 kg. And secondly, my hemoglobin levels are 14.5. So for female, the maximum is 15 and I am at 14.5. And when I compared with my last year report, last year it was 12.5. So this year it is 14.5. So I can relate it with the iron of bajra, which I am consuming. So it may be one of the reasons. So these are the two things which, and because of the weight loss, 8 to 9 kgs of weight loss, all other parameters which are reflected because of the overweight are now perfectly within line. So this is having a resistance starch. So it is not giving you glucose release immediately. It is giving you a feeling of fullness for a longer time. It is giving you iron and zinc definitely. Zinc, we all know it is related to immunity. Zinc is a cofactor for DNA and RNA polymerase, and it is good for your immunity. So keeping all the nutritional thing in hand and the ease by which you can make chapatis and the ease by which the gluten produced from wheat can be consumed, then it is a win-win situation in every aspect for bajra. So that the story started from the lab, then we distributed some sample to many people in the institute, across the institute, in different cities, right from Pune, Mumbai, and several cities to several people, we had distributed the sample of halloor. And slowly it has reached to our ministers also. Our minister came for some meeting and our director wanted to give one samples of halloor to him. And ultimately, two of our agriculture minister, one is coming from Gujarat and another one is coming from Rajasthan. So both the minister had showed lot of interest in bajra and its product. And slowly the popularity of the halloor is now gaining. And last month only, halloor is released by our minister, agriculture minister. And yesterday I got a phone call from a director from Kazri, and their job is to work on pulse millet. And our minister of state, Kailash Chaudhary ji, was there. I think Mahesh is here. Mahesh is in Kazri.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, तो अभी आए थे आपके पास
हाँ जी मैम. Yes.
हाँ, तो कल आपके डायरेक्टर साहब का फोन आया था डॉक्टर यादव का, and he wanted to know more about halloor and he wanted to take halloor from us so that in your region different people will get the taste of halloor and their feedback organoleptic. So yesterday evening I talked to my director also that this is the request I received from Kajri. Then he said it's a good idea that we will take the feedback from pearl millet eating zone. Because in the urban area, we are eating only once or twice. But in your area, I think they are eating on the regular basis. So it's good to share halloor with Kazri and so that they will distribute into their area. So that is how the popularity of the bajra is now gaining. even from South. I got several requests from Pune, and now IRI has taken a FSSAI clearance also for this product. And at IRI level, we are selling this product at a nominal rate. And this product is licensed also. Since our mandate is only research, we are not able to uh, complete the requirement of many people. So we thought it is good to license to a licensee, so that if the bulk requirements are there, he is going to develop that product and supply to at a higher level. So we are just giving at a very low numbers, because in the biochemistry division, the staff is limited. When director yesterday told me that it is our product and we have to nurture it, then I told him that I need a separate staff for developing this separate staff to do Hallu development and its distribution. So he agreed for that. So this is how Hallur is going up. Now there is always the scope of improvement in one product, and all the staff at the biochemistry division is really geared up to come forward with the newer product using Bajra as one of the component. So our first product was only Bajra with gluten, and that is just I can say first generation product, which will give you a higher shelf life as well as easy chapati making quality. But at the same time, although it is having a 12% protein, but you know that cereal protein and the pulse protein should be complemented to each other to have a full score of all essential amino acids. So the research team is really working hard to develop several more products with pearl millet as a base. So we are modifying different components in the flour now, so that we can improve upon on different traits, like low GI, high calcium, high protein, and so on. So that is Hallur is really a trigger point for us, which we developed by accident. We have not planned it. We planned the gluten extraction, but ended up with the product. And that gives an impetus to our research team that by a simple intervention, and I'm just telling you, we started this research. As I told you, there was no money in the month of May and June. And we started this research with our money, because it's a small money in extraction of gluten. So 2 or 3 people in a team, we contributed ourselves and started with a zero budget program. The point I want to make it that whenever we are working in the research institute, we always crave कि fund नहीं है, equipment नहीं है, ये नहीं है, ये जब मिलेगा तो काम करेंगे. तो आप किसी भी जगह बैठे हो, इनोवेटिव आइडिया से कम बजट में कम से कम इक्विपमेंट यूज किए आप एक ऐसा प्रोडक्ट्स बना सकते हैं जिसकी इतनी डिमांड भी होगी और इतने लोगों को बेनिफिट भी करे. तो खाली सिर्फ इतनी बात सोचना कि ये नहीं है वो नहीं है तब तक ये नहीं होगा, तो ये अगर हम सोचते तो शायद पिछले साल हम कुछ काम नहीं कर पाते. मगर पिछले 4-5 सालों में मैं आपको बताना चाहती हूँ कि पिछला साल सबसे प्रोडक्टिव रहा, जबकि हमारे पास बिल्कुल फंड नहीं था. और उससे पहले हमारे पास काफी मामलों में बहुत फंड था. We were doing several other activities, high-end research, high-end basic research we are doing. डॉक्टर रंजन का आपने लेक्चर सुना होगा जिसमें हमने ट्रांसक्रिप्टोम और प्रोटियोम की बात की है. So at the same time, when we are developing product on one side, we are developing our base broader in basic science also, because pearl millet जैसे आपको मैंने बताया is a neglected crop and no data is available on the basic front also, even if it is a genome transcriptome, because if you have to handle rancidity, then one way is to develop a processing method like we did HTIR. But if you are having so much of biodiversity already available with you, and if you go at the genomic level and see different genes of different enzymes like lipases, lipoxygenases, then you can come out with certain parents which are low in rancidity. So that is what I think Dr. Suneya must have discussed about the Rancidity matrix. So keeping Rancidity matrix in mind, Dr. Ranjan is looking at the gene sequences of key enzymes. And biodiversity, as you must have heard about the lecture by Dr. S.P. Singh, or I think Dr. Tara also. So they have told you that kind of biodiversity. But at the moment when we are talking about biodiversity, we just talk about their yield and their stress management. So nobody has characterized those in terms of their biochemical parameters like rancidity and their taste. So might be Dr. Veda must have discussed about a Jafrabadi genotype. So Jafrabadi genotype of pearl millet is very, very sweet. And its rancidity is also very low. So we have natural genotypes available with low rancidity and a different taste. So that is the area Dr. Ranjan is also working. So on one side, we are exploring the basic nature of this crop so that tomorrow, if we can recommend our breeders that what are the genotype, they will take it as a parents for making hybrids. And at the other side, ready-made, whenever we have a budget constraint, how with very low budget, we can develop products. So these are the two different aspects on which the Pearl Millet team is focusing. And I am really seeing a very bright future for my younger colleagues with me till 2023. So they are going to be in demand. I am not saying that after 23, they are not going to be in demand. This is such an area which will fetch you revenues throughout, because globally people are now health conscious. So I was just talking day before yesterday in one of the seminar in Nabi, and one question came to me that, okay, this is very good and you make halloor and all those things, but how you can convince people that they will start consuming pearl millet? Then I replied, there are two ways. First is that if a consumer is aware about the nutrition, they will come to you. So they come forward little bit towards you. Okay, I will leave my comfortable food and move towards the nutritious food. And secondly, our duty is to make that nutritious food more palatable to your plate. So how to make it more tasty, how to make it more comfortable, how to make it more processable, that is our research. We have to do it. So if you have to bring the nutrition of pearl millet to your plate, you have to do this extra effort. And the consumer has to do the extra effort of leaving wheat and rice and at least 1 or 2 times in a week and come forward to you to have pearl millet or any other millet. So this is just जिसे कहते हैं ना कि दो कदम आप चलिए और 2 कदम हम चलते हैं. तो 2 कदम अगर कंज्यूमर आगे चलता है कि ठीक है मुझे न्यूट्रिशियस खाना खाना है, तो मैं एक बार छोड़ के देखता हूँ 1 या 2 दिन गेहूं या चावल. मगर उसके पास ऑप्शन होना चाहिए कि अगर वो गेहूं और चावल छोड़ रहा है तो उसकी बजाय खाएगा क्या. तो फिर लोग कहते हैं कि बाजरा सर्दी में खाते हैं, गर्मी में नहीं खाते. तो ये भी क्वेश्चन किसी ने मुझसे पूछा था. सो आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग यू कि आपको मैं याद दिलाना चाहती हूँ, अगर आपको कुछ वो एक एड याद हो, टीवी में आता था जब ये एक प्रथा चल गई थी कि अंडे जो हैं बहुत गर्म होते हैं और अंडे जो हैं सिर्फ सर्दी में खाने चाहिए, गर्मी में नहीं खाने चाहिए. तो जो वो है ना एक फेडरेशन जो एग को डील करती है, उसने एक एड निकाला था, संडे हो या मंडे रोज खाओ अंडे. तो यही कहना चाहते हैं, कोई भी फूड चाहे वो कोई भी हो, आप 12 महीने खा सकते हैं. सिर्फ क्या होता था, क्यों ये सर्दी में खाया जाता था, क्योंकि ये खरीफ क्रॉप है और इसकी फसल आती है सितंबर अक्टूबर में. तो पहले जमाने में क्या होता था, क्योंकि इसकी कीपिंग क्वालिटी अच्छी नहीं होती है और आप इसका फ्लावर ज्यादा दिन तक नहीं रख सकते हैं, तो लोग इसको जब ताजी ताजी क्रॉप कटती थी उसी समय इसको कंज्यूम करते थे अप टू 3 or 4 months, जब तक आपकी winter चलती थी. And afterwards, since you cannot keep it for longer time, you stopped consuming it and wait for the another crop to come so that you can start consuming it in the other season. So same was there in every crop. जैसे कि आपको पहले मालूम है कि आप गोभी की सब्जी सर्दियों में खाते थे और भिंडी जो थी आप गर्मियों में खाते थे, मगर once they start available throughout the year, अब आप गोभी की सब्जी 12 महीने खाते हैं और भिंडी भी 12 महीने खाते हैं. तो सिमिलरली अब हमारे जो प्रोसेसिंग टेक्नोलॉजी से इफ pearl millet is available throughout the year, nutritionally there is no hazard in eating pearl millet throughout the year. तो वो मिथ है, उसमें मत जाइए. और अगर आपको easily available है online, you can purchase हल्लूर. My request again, मैं जहां भी जाती हूँ इसको एडवोकेट कर रही हूँ और मैं अपना एग्जाम्पल इसलिए रख रही हूँ कि 6 महीने से मैंने ये किया है. मैं इसलिए it's a honest example before you. So it is really helping in improving my overall metabolic. So as a biochemist, we should appreciate our metabolism. First, we should understand our metabolism and what are the diets which regulate our metabolism. Once you start considering this fact on your body, you will start appreciating the biochemical and metabolic pathways. And then you will start appreciating these diets and the importance of these diets in your day-to-day routine. So with this, I am just closing my remark and I am available for any query, any question, and any suggestion to further improve on our product. I do not know that among you 41 people present here, how many have consumed Hallur. So since it is a virtual training program going on, and Dr. Ranjan is planning one more training program in the month of September, where we are going to give training to entrepreneurs and that how to develop a Hallur. So that is the time we want to have a hands-on experience plus some good cuisine also developed by using Hallur atta. So that is the time whenever physically you people are visiting us at Biochemistry Division, we will be more than happy to present to you the different recipes prepared by Hallur. So Dr. Monica and Prachi from our division, they have developed a very good consortium of recipes using Hallur atta. So now Hallur is good not only for chapati. तो आपको मैं कुछ रेसिपी बता रही हूँ जो हमने ट्राई की है और वर्ल्ड फूड डे में यहाँ पर डिमॉन्स्ट्रेट की थी. आप अब नूडल्स बना सकते हैं, आप इससे पास्ता बना सकते हैं, आप मफिन्स बना सकते हैं. बेडमी पूरी की सब्जी, बेडमी पूरी हमेशा गेहूं के आटे से बनती है, अब आप बाजरे के आटे की बेडमी पूरी खा सकते हैं. इसका हलवा भी बनाया हमने और इसकी कुकीज बनी है, मट्ठी बनी है, नमक पारे बने हैं और साउथ इंडियन डिशेस में आपको बताऊं इसका वड़ा बन गया है. और एक डिश का नाम भूल रही हूँ मैं, इट्स ए वेरी गुड स्वीट डिश, वेरी प्रेवलेंट इन कर्नाटका, डॉक्टर विनुता ने बनाई थी. So point here to mention that anything which you are making by wheat flour, you can simply replace it with pearl millet flour. तो आप घर में ट्राई करके देख सकते हैं, इसका नमक पारे बनाइए. तो बच्चों को शुरू से ही जो हैबिट बच्चों को बचपन से पड़ती है, तो आप लोग अपने घर में अगर उनको मैकडॉनल्ड का बर्गर की बजाय नमक पारे और अपने घर की कुकीज और मट्ठी बना के खिलाएंगे तो धीरे धीरे बचपन से उनको एटलीस्ट इसका टेस्ट डेवलप हो जाएगा. So with this word, thank you all for your presence today in this morning, and hopefully you are enjoying this training program. And one more day, day after tomorrow, this is closing now. So I won't be available on Friday. So I am requesting Dr. Ranjan, so whatever the program for Friday is to be converted on Thursday, and Thursday will be shifted to Friday. So with these words, thank you once again.
So thank you, ma'am. So now, if you have any queries, so we have 5 minutes, you can interact with our course director. Any discussion, any suggestion, any queries?
Hello.
Yes, yes, please.
Hello. Hanji, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Dr. Anita.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Uh-huh.
your talk was very informative. But ma'am, I have only means I have 3 to 4 queries. Means
Sure.
you said that that pearl millet has no gluten, and you have extracted the gluten from this wheat flour, and you have added it to the pearl flour, so that elasticity should be there to make the chapatis. But
Mhm.
ma'am, the one concern is that, like for example, if there are some celiac patients,
Mhm.
so they do not use gluten. So if we are adding gluten to pearl millet,
Mhm.
so it will not be available for the celiac patient.
Mhm.
Second things, ma'am, I also use this millet, not every day, but
Mhm.
I try to take one of my meal from this pearl millet, and I use, like for example, I add some grated vegetable like carrot and this bottle gourd, and
Mhm.
then I make the dough. And what I have used my local technology is that I place that dough in between the polythene, जो पन्नी आती है, and
Mhm.
I started rolling that, and then I put little oil, so it
Mhm.
makes round chapatis. So I
Mhm.
used to have it.
Mhm.
And third thing is that, ma'am, means while listening your talk, I thought that why means we can also design an equipment
Mhm.
which can be capable of making chapatis, so that means people can easily make the chapatis.
Mhm.
And for my sensitization of this pearl millet among consumers, we can
Mhm.
also approach doctors, and we can also give nutrition education to doctors also, so that the patients come to them, they can also impart knowledge regarding the nutritional importance of this pearl millet. So I think more population is aware about this crop, and they can start using this. And one thing which I have noticed is that, like for example, we are nutritionists. So if we implement something in our house that is not means perceived by the family members, but if someone says, like for example, if doctor says, then everyone listen to the doctor. So I think doctors are also sensitized about this matter. So more people will get benefit.
Good point. Good point. All the important point raised by Dr. Anita. So I will just respond, not very good suggestions you have given. You are very right that gluten is not very much favorable for the patients having celiac disease.
Yes.
And they want a gluten-free atta. That is true. But globally, if you see the percentage, only 1.4% of the global population is having celiac. So
Yes, ma'am.
definitely they have to avoid even the wheat atta also, because they
Yes, ma'am.
cannot consume wheat atta. That is
Yes,
why
ma'am.
on the packet itself we are writing that this contains gluten. क्योंकि ये मैंडेटरी है कि वो गलती से इसको ना खा जाएं, तो हम उस
हाँ
पर
जी।
लिखते हैं कि इसके अंदर ग्लूटेन है. तो 1.4% लोगों के लिए तो सही में ये चीज नहीं है,
हाँ
बट
जी।
इसके लिए 98.6% लोग क्यों डिप्राइव रहे, इसलिए
हाँ
हमने
जी।
सोचा कि हाँ,
ठीक।
celiac डिजीज के लिए आई एग्री, इट इज नॉट अ गुड प्रोडक्ट.
हाँ जी।
सेकेंडली, आपने जो अपना तरीका बताया वो बहुत अच्छा है. जब तक नहीं था ना अनीता, हम भी ऐसे ही
हाँ जी।
करते थे. बड़ी
Yes,
मुश्किल
sir.
जो आपने तरीका बताया वो बहुत अच्छा है. वो पॉलीथीन के बीच में रख के रोटी बेलना, उससे
हाँ
नहीं टूटती है. वो बनती तो है, मगर वही बात है अनीता, जब ऑफिस आना हो ना तो सुबह सुबह वो
जी।
काम करना बहुत मुश्किल है अनीता. वो हम
हाँ
सिर्फ
जी। हाँ जी,
सोचते हैं
मैम।
वो कर सकते हैं, मगर इससे तुम सुबह जो ऑफिस के लिए टिफिन बना के लाती हो ना, वो भी बना सकती हो.
हाँ जी।
ठीक है. और
Yes, ma'am.
तीसरी बात आपने बताई डॉक्टर्स की, वो
हाँ
बिल्कुल
जी।
सही बताई आपने. और हम अभी जितने प्रोग्राम कर रहे हैं
हाँ जी।
उसमें हम एक एक न्यूट्रिशनिस्ट या डॉक्टर जरूर रख रहे हैं अपने साथ.
हाँ जी, मैम।
वो भी अपना लेक्चर लेते हैं, क्योंकि क्या होता है
हाँ
हमारे
जी।
यहाँ एक डिस्कनेक्ट है डॉक्टर में और न्यूट्रिशन में.
हाँ
क्योंकि
जी।
डॉक्टर जो है वो क्योर करता है डिजीज को, प्रिवेंट
Yes,
नहीं
ma'am.
करता.
Yes, ma'am. हाँ
तो
जी।
जब आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम हो गई, आप अपनी रिपोर्ट लेकर डॉक्टर के पास गए, तो वो आपको 2 या 3 मेडिसिन रिकमेंड करते हैं.
हाँ
So
जी।
that is a cure, not prevention. Like
Yes, ma'am.
if as a nutritionist we know, आप अपने टेस्ट कराइए और आपके टेस्ट में 2-4 पैरामीटर इधर उधर आ रहे हैं, you just see कि ये
हाँ
किस
जी।
मेटाबॉलिक पाथवे की वजह से आपके बॉडी में गड़बड़ होगी. So
हाँ
you
जी।
alter your diet. So that is the area which nutritionist has to take care.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
doctors are coming up, जैसे किसी का हीमोग्लोबिन कम आता है तो वो कहते हैं, अब वो
हाँ
कहते
जी।
हैं तुम आयरन की टेबलेट ले लो।
हाँ जी।
डॉक्टर के पास जाओगे तो वो सीधे सीधे कहेगा आप आयरन की टेबलेट ले लो।
हाँ जी।
अब बायो अवेलेबिलिटी आप देखिए आयरन की टेबलेट की और एक बाजरा खाने में दोनों में फर्क होगा।
हाँ जी।
So that is where we have to sensitize people and you are very right. देखो sensitize तो कराना ही पड़ेगा,
हाँ जी।
है ना। आप ये सोचो कि एक शौचालय बनवाने के लिए प्रधानमंत्री को लाल किले से सेंसिटाइज कराना पड़ा, तब जाके गांव गांव में शौचालय बने।
यस मैम। हाँ जी।
तो अब हम सबकी ड्यूटी है, आज हम जो यहाँ पर 40+ लोग बैठे हैं और
हाँ
हम
जी।
सबको मालूम है कि ये अच्छी न्यूट्रिशियस क्रॉप है और इजीली अवेलेबल है, तो
हाँ जी।
everyone has to be now advocate of nutrition, not
Yes.
only pearl millet. Pearl millet is one of the component. अगर
हाँ
अगर
जी।
हम सारे लोग होंगे तो अनीता मुझे लगता है कि हमें
Yes.
कोशिश करनी चाहिए। और
Yes,
आप
ma'am.
सही कहते हो कि घर के लोग जब नहीं सुने तो डॉक्टर से कहलवा दो, तो
हाँ जी।
डॉक्टर को भी हम अपने साथ रख रहे हैं
हाँ
न्यूट्रिशन।
जी। हाँ जी।
बट
हाँ
अभी
जी
और करने की जरूरत है अनीता, यू आर
यस
राइट।
मैम। हाँ जी। हाँ जी। थैंक यू मैम। मैम आपका बहुत मोटिवेटिंग लेक्चर था और हम लोग भी मीन्स अक्सर से सोच रहे हैं कि जैसे हम लोग किस और एस्पेक्ट पे ऐसे काम कर सकते हैं, तो
Sure.
मैम थैंक यू सो मच मैम।
नहीं, वी आर हेयर, देखो हम आपके साथ हैं और मैं आपको बार बार ये याद दिलाना चाहती हूँ, कई बार आप ऐसे इंस्टीट्यूट और ऐसी जगह से आ रहे होंगे जहाँ बहुत सुविधाएं नहीं होंगी,
हाँ
तो
जी
इस
मैम।
बात को बिल्कुल मुद्दा मत बनाइए कि ये है और ये नहीं है। सिर्फ इनोवेटिव आइडिया से आप कुछ भी कर सकते हैं
यस
और
मैम।
हम लोग पूरा आपकी सपोर्ट के लिए यहाँ पर हैं। एनी टाइम यू फील टू कॉन्टेक्ट अस, एनी वन ऑफ अस, जितने भी लोगों को आप इंटरेक्ट किए हो 10 दिन में, सब के सब लोग हमेशा तत्पर रहेंगे आपसे जुड़े।
हाँ जी। थैंक यू मैम। थैंक यू सो मच मैम।
Any other queries? Any other suggestions? So no, I think, yeah, please.
Hello, ma'am. I am Dr. Akanksha Tiwari.
हाँ बताइए।
Hello.
Yeah, yeah,
हेलो,
please.
हाँ
Yes.
प्लीज, हाँ प्लीज गो
Am I
अहेड।
audible, sir?
हाँ कांक्षा सुन पा रहे हैं।
Ma'am, I am a plant breeder. So as a breeder, किस character पे? Ma'am, मेरा question है,
हाँ,
तो किस कैरेक्टर पे मुझे फोकस करना चाहिए पर्ल मिलेट पे अगर मैं काम शुरू करती हूँ, तो कौन से कैरेक्टर पे मुझे फोकस करना चाहिए, किस कैरेक्टर को
बहुत
लेके काम
हाँ,
करना चाहिए?
अच्छा क्वेश्चन है आकांक्षा। देखो जब भी हम कोई भी रिसर्च शुरू करें ना, तो पहले उसके बॉटलनेक सोच लें कि भाई इसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या क्या है। तो पर्ल मिलेट को जैसे हम लेके चलते हैं, प्रॉब्लम क्या थी? डेंसिटी। डेंसिटी एक प्रॉब्लम है
यस
इसमें।
मैम।
दूसरी प्रॉब्लम है कि इसका टेस्ट बहुत अच्छा सा नहीं है, उतना अच्छा मीठा टेस्ट नहीं देता जितना गेहूं की रोटी आपको मीठी मीठी लगती है, तो इस वजह से आप नहीं खाओगे, आपके बच्चे नहीं खाएंगे। तो अगर इसमें थोड़ा सा टेस्ट इंप्रूव हो जाए और रेंसिडिटी की प्रॉब्लम इंप्रूव हो जाए, तो आप थोड़ा ये फेवरेबल हो जाएगा। तो आपको ट्रेट क्या रखने चाहिए? देखिए ब्रीडर हो तो आप ईल्ड को तो इग्नोर कर नहीं सकते, ईल्ड तो आपका एक ट्रेट होगा ही होगा, और ये आप बायोटिक स्ट्रेसेस भी डिबेट आपका ट्रेट होंगे। एबायोटिक की तो जरूरत नहीं है क्योंकि ये बड़ी रफ एंड टफ क्रॉप है और बिना पानी के भी चलती है, तो एबायोटिक की प्रॉब्लम इसमें नहीं है। तो बायोटिक ट्रेट में जो भी इसकी बीमारियां हैं उस पर रिसर्च काफी हो चुकी है आकांक्षा। तो अब तुम्हारा ट्रेट क्या होना चाहिए कि रेंसिडिटी कम होनी चाहिए आपके जो भी आप हाइब्रिड डेवलप। तो उसके लिए क्या है, अब रेंसिडिटी मैट्रिक्स हमने बना लिया, पूरा मेथड हमारे पास है। तो आप अपना टेस्ट करा लो, जो भी पेरेंट सेलेक्ट कर रहे हो कि भाई रेंसिडिटी में ये ग्रीन है कि ऑरेंज है कि रेड है। तो अगर उनके पेरेंट्स ग्रीन जोन में आते हैं तो आपका हाइब्रिड भी ग्रीन जोन में ही रहने की उम्मीद है। तो ये एक ट्रेट आपको ध्यान में रखना चाहिए। दूसरा है ट्रेट इसका स्वीटनेस का, जो आपको डॉक्टर वेदा ने क्लास ली होगी कि भाई उसकी जो स्टार्च क्वालिटी है, पेरेंट्स की भी आप ले लो जिनको क्रॉस करने वाले हो, वो टेस्ट में कैसी है। चलो आपके पास इतने इक्विपमेंट नहीं है, मान लो कि आप हाइड्रोलाइजिंग काइनेटिक्स करो, अरे तो उसकी चपाती बना के खा लो ना, देख लो टेस्ट में कैसी है। ऑर्गेनोलेप्टिक तो अपने यहाँ लेवल पे कर लो। तो जो भी आपका थोड़ा, जैसे अभी कल ही हमारे यहाँ लैब में हमने एक टेस्ट, एक स्केल डेवलप किया है, स्वीटनेस का स्केल। तो स्वीटनेस का स्केल है, आप 10 लोगों को चपाती खिलाओ और उनसे एक स्वीटनेस का स्केल हमने डेवलप कर लिया कि भाई तुमको ये चपाती खाने में कितनी मीठी लग रही है।
ओके मैम।
तो हेडोनिक स्केल कहते हैं शायद उसे, कल डॉक्टर वेदा ने डेवलप किया है, क्योंकि हम जाफराबादी जो हमारी वैरायटी है वो बिल्कुल वैसी ही मीठी लगती है जैसे कि आपकी गेहूं की मीठी लगती है। तो उसको ध्यान में रखिए, वो भी एक ट्रेट हो सकता है आकांक्षा तुम्हारे लिए, कि स्वाद
ओके
भी
मैम।
अच्छी हो और रेंसिड भी कम हो। ये 2 ट्रेट तुम ऐड कर सकते हो।
थैंक यू मैम।
So any other queries? So anyway, even I think even latter part also, if you have any questions, so you can leave it on chat box or directly you can send it to ma'am also. And I think all of us, even ma'am also, she will be able to respond. I think you all agree that it was a small dream which perpetuated into a big tree of Halur, and then now it's a buzzing word and is spreading across the regions, starting from South India to North, and then other specific regions also, as ma'am she explained. And then ma'am nicely explained different aspects of how one should go for a problem-based research and how our motivation should be to identify the problem and to find solutions based on the expertise which we have. And Halur is one of the best example for all of us. And it was not only the development of technology, but then ma'am, she used this. And then as ma'am quoted that, she very nicely used to explain that I am using and then the effect is this. So I think this is a very motivating word for all of us, which gives us a motivation to work in such a manner so that you will definitely achieve the success. So thank you, ma'am, for motivating all of us and for sharing such a wonderful technology that is Halur. So thank you for sparing your valuable time for this particular training program. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure, Ranjan. And since it is our product, and any time and any n number of times, if you are inviting me to talk about Halur, I am always very ever ready. Thank you.
Thank you. So now over to Dr. Suneha Goswami.
So good morning, everyone. Sir, please make me able to share the screen.
Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Yeah, please go ahead.
So my slides are visible?
Yes.
So once again, very good morning to all of you. So Dr. Shelly ma'am, she very nicely explained and unfold the story of Halur. So I'm just and how we are coming from very low budget research to final product like Halur. So I will just give some little bit explanation and some video I will share how we will develop this. So for the first experiment which decided is a method for the extraction of vital wheat gluten from wheat flour. So you all know that in wheat there are two proteins, glutamine and gliadin. And when we make dough, so when we add water and do kneading, so this gliadin and glutamine, they make a network and form a gluten protein. So this is basically gluten is a combination of two different proteins which formed by the networking of these two gliadin and glutamine in presence of water. So from dough we have extracted that gluten and then we standardize it for drying. So lot of standardization we did for drying of this, and then we converted it into powder and then we generated its viscoelasticity property in different gluten-free flour. So this is the step how we extracted that gluten. So as I told, this is the glycine and this is the glutamine. When we make dough, we add water, so it forms a network which is called gluten. So this is the gluten network in dough. Now once this gluten is formed, then again it requires a washing step. So in water we have to add water, excess of water, and this agitation from them and to remove starch from the gluten. So around 6 to 7 such washing is required. We separate out that starch part, and at last we have you can see this picture. This is the gluten which we extracted after washing of dough from 6 to 7 times. So this type of gluten we obtain. Now the next step is drying. So drying is very important, and for drying we did lot of experiments, like we dried it. Here you can see for drying we tried for near infrared, then at 120 degrees, 40 degrees, 80 degrees, then a combination of temperature and infrared, then so lot of experiments we did, and after that we extracted that gluten, and then we dried it into powder form. Then we analyzed it for its water absorption capacity. So here you can see the water absorption capacity we observed maximum in the case where we dried it at 40 degrees under hot air. So this way we successfully obtained this gluten powder. Then we regenerated this gluten into, so you can see from 100 gram of the flour, around 35 gram of wet gluten we obtained, and then we stretch it in a thin layer for drying, and we dried it at 40 degrees, and then after when it's completely dried, then grind it in the mixer grinder and convert it into fine powder. So from 100 gram flour, 10 gram this gluten powder we recovered. In some cases, this range varies from 9 to 11 gram. From 100 gram, you can extract up to 9 to 100 gram. It depends on variety to variety. Like C306, it has around 11% gluten. Some other have 10%. So like this. Then once we extracted this gluten, then we regenerated its viscoelasticity property in gluten-free flour. So we added it in bajra and we added it in makka. Both are gluten-free flour. Then we added and regenerated its viscoelasticity property. So we developed two different products. One is halloos, which is soft bajra atta, and another is makai, which is soft makka atta. And as Shelly ma'am told about number of recipes we tried from this halloos. So you can see here I've shown some pictures, like we prepared chapati, begni puri, dosa, then golgappe chaat, then some namkeen, then taco, pizza, laddu. This is a Odisha dish. I forget its name. Then this is halwa, prasad halwa. Then this is matri. So that many recipes we tried from the halloos bajra atta, which it was earlier not even in a dream of anyone that we can prepare such type of delicious dishes from bajra. So then the next step comes is to regenerate its vital wheat gluten viscoelasticity property in 4-minute flour. So first after extraction of the vital wheat gluten, we have to check its water absorption capacity and its extensibility, and then its purity, because if that washing step is not proper, so there is starch contamination. So we require, for good quality gluten viscoelasticity property, we require more purity. So for testing its purity, we developed we checked its purity in terms of starch contamination, and then we generated it in wheat flour, in bajra flour and makka flour. So after that, we also test lot of testing with it to see its tasting property, then its dough making quality, its texture analysis, and then so many extensibility, the force which is required for its rollability. So many tests we did for successful development of this product. So here you can see we did Farinograph. Although this instrument is not with us, so for For that, we did it from outsource, from where we analyze its dough development time, dough stability, mixing solvency, dough consistency, dough rheology, viscoelasticity, tensile strength, and texture properties. So this experiment I cannot show you here because this instrument is not with us, but gluten extensibility, I will show you how we check it in dough and chapati. Then for purity of vital wheat gluten, so here it is a simple test of starch where we use saturated potassium iodide. So a drop of potassium iodide was added, saturated potassium iodide was added. So if starch contamination is there, so it will convert the blue color. If there is no contamination, your protein is free from starch. So there will not be any color development. So this way we check its purity. So here we develop a standard graph of starch at different percentage, and then we take our sample. So around 98.75% purity we recovered in our gluten. While for control, we also take one gluten from the market, and when we check it, so its purity was around 96%. Then we check its water absorption capacity, so it was also high. It's in the range of 390, while the commercial one it is around 340. So whatever we expected gluten, it was of very good quality. Means there is less contamination of starch, very good water absorption capacity. Then we tested its extensibility. So this is the instrument. I will show you in practical also in our video how we estimate the extensibility in there. And then we developed some formula for testing the quality of protein. Like we developed first is that's the same thing. Gluten purity test, which is by starch, estimating the starch contamination. Then gluten regeneration capacity, which is based on water absorption capacity. And then gluten elasticity and the percentage gluten which is required for regenerating in formula flow. How much gluten we have to add in the flow, that we will determined by these parameters. So this is a short presentation for this. Now I will share my So is it visible? Hello, am I audible? Hello,
Yes, ma'am, audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
or not? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
I was sharing my video, so whether it was visible or not.
No, ma'am.
Not visible.
No, ma'am, not visible.
Okay, I'm just trying to share.
No, ma'am.
Hello.
जी मैम, प्लीज मैम.
Whether it was visible or not.
Ma'am, your screen is visible, but the video which is it's not visible.
उसी ग्राफ को सेम समझाया है आपने. पहले वाले ग्राफ में सिर्फ डीसी रेशो, ये ग्राफ में आपके पास में है ब्लॉक तो दो क्रॉस प्रैक्टिस और रिकमेंडेशन. देखो दो ग्राफ.
Dr. Suneha, what happens?
I'm
एक
not.
डीसी रेशियो लिखा है ना. एक में हमको उसके टाइटल देंगे. ठीक. क्यों बेटा इसका नामकरण क्या कर रहे हैं?
Yeah, please share. Please select your video and then go for sharing. Hello. Okay, please send. Yeah, Dr. Suneha, please send your video. Dr. Suneha, can you hear me? Yeah, please send your video to me. I will run on your behalf. So there is some technical glitch, so we'll take 5 minutes. So let me download that and then we'll run it. Hello. Yeah.
all of you. Today's practical is regeneration of viscoelasticity of water. With proteins in palmilate fluid. So you all know that palmilate is a protein-free fluid, and in wheat there is a protein gluten which provides viscoelasticity to the dough, so that the chapati making quality of wheat is very good, right? If you compare with meat or palmilate, which are free from protein, so their chapati making quality is not that good. So here we have extracted gluten from wheat, as in earlier practical also. I have shown you that this is the wheat flour from which we have extracted gluten. So this is the gluten. Now we will regenerate its viscoelasticity property in palmilate flour. So for that we have taken, this is palmilate flour. So here we have added gluten in palmilate at the rate of 8%. Means in 100 gram, 8 gram gluten we have added. So this is so for mixing it is also a little tricky. We have to mix it properly so that that gluten it regenerates its property to the flour. So this is the palmilate flour. Here I have taken content for 25 gram. So this is our palmilate flour, and this is the gluten. So 23 gram of palmilate flour, and now I am adding here 2 gram of gluten. Then we have to mix it properly. So for mixing, I am using here seeds. So mixing will be very important. So the seeds, any seeds you can use. So now you can see here gluten is properly in the fermentation. Now we will make it stew. So it is same as you prepare at your home for chapati making. We will prepare the dough. So in palmilate for dough preparation, it is required to use hot water. There is a chemistry behind this why we are using hot water, because when we are using hot water, so what happened in flour there is starch, okay, and we have added gluten. So to regenerate the viscoelasticity of gluten, it is required that it required water, lot of water. But if starch is there, so when we add water, so most of the water it is taken by the starch. So to make available most of the water to the gluten and not to the starch, we are using hot water. So when we use hot water we can say boiled water. Boiling water, it has a temperature of 100 degree. When we add a hot water having temperature of 100 degree, when we add it into the flour, so it as it comes to the flour and mix, so it comes around the 60 or 70 degree. And that 60 or 70 degree temperature is the gelatinization temperature for the starch. So when we add hot water, so most of the starch gets gelatinized. So whatever water we are adding now, that will be available to the gluten to regenerate its viscoelasticity property. That's why hot water is very much required here. So now I am using here hot water to prepare the dough. So for 100 gram flour, it is required almost 60 ml of water. So you can see here I am using spoon because when we are adding hot water, so there is possibility that we can burn. So we are for initially we are using spoon for mixing hot water, and once it is mixed properly, then we can use our hand for making the soft dough. now it is cooled down, so I can use my hand. Because it will be very fast.
एक ट्रेनिंग करना चाहिए थोड़ी देर बाद
I can see 2 is prepared. Now we will use this flow for further analysis, because once flow is prepared and we have the flow, so we have to check whether this viscoelasticity property is regenerated properly in the flow or not. So at every step we have some analysis which we will do. Like at floor, we have to check its RBA, means some testing property related to RBA related parameters like testing property. Then for dough making quality, here we are using TPA, texture analyzer, for which we are using. Then for chapati also we are using its extensibility and then its rollability. So all these parameters we will do further.
3
So now we will make the chapati. So you can see its rollability. It is just trying to. So you can see this firm millet chapati, which we can roll like wheat chapati. It is as soft because of this protein only. We are able to prepare firm millet chapati similar to wheat. You can see it is as thin as your wheat chapati is there. Although I am not very perfect in chapati making, but still I am also able to prepare chapati of firm millet. You can see. So it is as thin as your wheat chapati is. So for millet chapati, we are able to prepare similar to wheat chapati because of regeneration of viscoelasticity of protein in firm millet flour. Now we will go for some test, which we are doing in flour and then in dough and chapati, which prove our this concept how this wheat protein is regenerated with viscoelasticity in firm millet flour. So you have seen how we extracted gluten and mix it in the firm millet flour. Now we have to check the quality of our flour with respect to its dough and chapati making quality. So for that we will check this flour at 3 levels. First is the flour, second dough, and third the chapati. So for flour, usually we are using rapid viscoanalyzer, which will give information about testing property and others. So Shalini, she will explain about this. Shalini, please. Hello friends, as you know that all the flours, they cook differently. The way they react to the water when they are cooking, they are going to swell up differently. At what temperature they are going to swell, they are going to, the starch granules, they are going to swell, absorb water, swell, and then when it is going to be gelatinized, it is going to disrupt. Finally, when we are going to cool it, the viscosity of the gel is going to increase. So that is the pasting profile. So the pasting profile is added to it. That varies a lot. And this is what we the starch pasting cell. Okay. So here it is. This is the probe. Let me show you. Blades. Okay, these veins are there, and in this cup we have the sample, and we weigh the sample according to 14% moisture basis. Okay, so we determine how much amount of flour is required, and we add excess of water into it, and then we fix this cup, and then this is the blade which is rotating inside the cup, and then the viscosity profile during the heating and the cooling phase is measured. So how we do the pasting process?
at the rate of 0.02 degrees centigrade per second. Then once 95 degrees is attained, we maintain it for 5 to 7 minutes according to the program which is desired. Now this can vary depending on what type of starch we are having, right? So here we are having whole grain flours, so we are maintaining it for 5 to 7 minutes. And then from 95 degrees, we cool it back to 50 degrees. So during this process, what is happening is that the starch molecules, they are getting hydrated. Then when we are cooking, then it is gradually increasing in size gradually. And then after a particular point of time, when it can no longer swell, it is going to disrupt because of this shear action which is taking place. When it is disrupted, at that point, again, the viscosity is going to decrease. And then it is when the viscosity decreases, and then at a point of time when the cooling starts, again the viscosity starts increasing. So this entire process pasting profile depends on what type of starch components are there or any additives have been added, what is the particle size of the flours. All these are the various determining factors for the pasting profile. So if you would like to see, I'd like to show you the curve here, which has been generated here. If you would. So this, on the y-axis we have the viscosity, and the symbol for this is eta. Here is time, and this is the temperature on the y2 secondary y-axis, right? So here we've started heating from 50 degrees centigrade, and this was the viscosity. Okay. At this particular point of time, the viscosity started increasing rapidly. That means the hydration of the starch molecules that started taking place. It's not just starch which is playing a role, but proteins are also playing role here. So it is giving you an indication of the starch as well as the protein quality in the flours. So here, up till here, the viscosity has increased. Then, after attaining the full viscosity, the starch granules, they disrupted and they collapsed, and here is the decrease in viscosity. So even if the temperature is high, that is 95 degrees centigrade, the disruption of the molecules is there, the disruption of the starch granules is there, and that led to decrease in viscosity. Now, as the temperature decreased and slightly cooling started taking place, again the viscosity is increasing. And at a particular point of time, it is going to stabilize, right? So that also gives us an indication of the retrogradation behavior. That is, when we are going to cool the starch paste, how it is going to crystallize back. What is the rapidity with which it is going to crystallize? That is an indication of the scaling properties. So lots of insights are generated by this simple test. And this is the graph which is showing you from where we take the various parameters here. This is the pasting temperature. Okay, the point at which the viscosity started increasing. Then here is the peak viscosity. Then this is the peak time, how much time it took to attain the peak viscosity. Then the breakdown of the starch occurred. So this is the breakdown viscosity. Then you have the final viscosity. Then the difference between the final viscosity and the breakdown viscosity is it setback. And here is the trough viscosity. So setback from trough and setback from peak are two other parameters. And let us now see how we are going to do this test in practice. Okay. So in this cup, I shall weigh the flour depending on 14% moisture content. So this moisture content is important here. Oh, very important. Yes. Okay. So how much amount we have to take flour? That depends on how much It is like 4 grams for 25 ml. So here we have adapted this profile to the RDA of the Provender. So this is a modification depending on this equipment. So I've calculated depending on 14% moisture weight. So it generally comes between 2 to 2.5 like that. Okay, so here I'll be taking 2.003 grams of flour. Okay, so we took the flour 2.03. Okay. Now I'm going to add water, excess water, to make up the weight to 16 grams. It is compulsory 16 grams. Yeah, the final weight should be 16 grams. Otherwise, to be more accurate, we use a pipette. Small effect like 16 grams. And we take care that there is no flour outside, and then we fix it properly. Right? The instrument has been initialized before the start of this practical itself. Okay, so I bring it down. So how much time it take to complete this? It is nearly 24 minutes. 24 minutes per sample. But this depends on the rate of heating which you want and the rate of cooling, and it depends on the type of sample. So usually it is 24 minutes. 24 to 25. Okay. So initially, there is stirring at a very high rate so that there are no lumps and proper mixing is taking place. And after a few seconds of stirring, 30 seconds of stirring, then the graph is going to start. So this red colored graph is the start of the test. Okay. So ultimately, at the end of 25 minutes, you will get a graph like this. Okay. Okay. So thank you, Shalini. And this is for the floor. Now the next practical we will continue with the dough.
विलेज अटैचमेंट से स्टार्ट कीजिए, जहां से आपने फार्मर्स का डेटा कलेक्ट किया है वहां से स्टार्ट कीजिए। ऑब्जेक्टिव और ये सारी चीजें रहने दीजिए, ठीक है
मैम? विलेज सर्विस,
हाँ हाँ, विलेज सर्विस से स्टार्ट कीजिए।
मालो में पड़ता है, गांव पड़ता है मेदिनीपुर, और तहसील है लाहौर और डिस्ट्रिक्ट कानपुर। वहाँ मैम मेल और फीमेल है, नियरेस्ट क्या है दिल्ली और मार्केट है वो चौबे कानपुर नगर
मेरे पास
Dr. Akansha, can you please introduce yourself?
You have seen that how we did with this rapid visco analyzer analysis for the flow. Now the second is dough. So for dough, we are doing this TPA, texture profiling analysis. So for this is the instrument you can see. And here we are using 50K cell loading cell for TPA analysis of the dough. So I request Shalini, Dr. Shalini, she will explain about this TPA, how we are using this instrument. Yes, friends, this is a texture analyzer. And in texture analyzer, we are trying to analyze the properties of dough. And this, we are doing the test of texture profile analysis. That is, we are compressing the material twice, okay, at a particular deformation strain. So that is preset, okay. First of all, we are going to, this is the probe for deformation, and this probe is going to vary depending on the size of the sample. So first of all, we select the program. We just select the program first. So while the program is being set, let me tell you that first of all, this is based on the deformation strain. That is, we are deforming it at different levels of strain that can vary depending on the product. Sometimes people come with the target strain of 50%. At other times it is 75. At other times it is 80%. So depending on the sample, we set the conditions. So our test has loaded. So first of all, what we do is we calibrate the floor for its height. Okay. First of all, we tear it. Usually for dough, how much height you decide? It is just above the level of the dough. Okay. Okay. So calibrate the height. So it is successful. Now we look at the settings. Okay. So here we say, so it can be either in the form of distance or in the form of strain. So for dough we use strain, and we select it as 60% strain. Okay. And then we put the sample here. So normally we select a particular shape and size of the sample of the dough. So first of all, we put it into a mold to bring it to desired diameter, so that all the samples are having same height and same diameter. Okay. So bring it a bit closer, right? Asking for which probe. Like that. So first of all, it will come at a, okay, it will deform. Then it is going to go back, and again a second bite will come. Okay. Two times it will. 2 times the plunger is going to come down. All right. So this is the type of graph we have obtained. Let me show you. This is the type of graph we have obtained. Okay. So this initial is for the peak force is in hardness. At the this green shaded portion, the bottom curve, area of the curve is adhesiveness. Then here we have the second this thing. So the second peak it actually denotes how much strong the material is, how much cohesive or how much closely knit the material is. So the strength of the material is going to be depicted by this. So in case you look at a typical TPA curve, texture profile analysis curve, this initial peak force is the hardness. The bottom area of the curve is adhesiveness. Then you have the gumminess is this the area and in the second peak divided by area of the first peak, and this is multiplied by the peak force. So that gives an indication of gumminess. So gumminess is A2 by A1 into hardness. Dr. Suneha, maybe you can give a snapshot of this curve also for the reference. And then springiness is that how much it is able to bounce back to its own shape once the first deformation has taken place. So in case it is a foamy material like bread, right? So when we are deforming it first time during this stage for the second bite or the second compression, at that point of time it may rebounce back. So that indicates the springiness. So the springiness is the length of this is a force time curve. So length of the second L2 by L1, that gives an indication of springiness. And chewiness is the amount of force which is required to masticate or chew the product. So in order to bite the product and then before swallowing, how much work will be required to be done, that indication is given by the chewiness, and chewiness is determined by the gumminess into springiness. Okay, so these are the various parameters which are obtained by texture profile analysis, and this is a very popular test, very useful test, particularly where foam structure needs to be seen and whether the material is stable to deformation or not. Okay, so thank you. So, okay. So the third thing which we have to analyze is chapati quality. So for chapati, we are measuring or analyzing its extensibility. So for that, I have taken this strip of chapati. Chapati I have prepared and then cut a strip. So that we will do here. So Yeah. So again, we are going to use a texture analyzer equipment for this, and there is a separate attachment for tensile tests. So what we are going to do is we are going to stretch the chapati upwards. We are going to fix one end down and then one end below, and then we are going to pull the chapati strip upwards, and then find out what is the amount of force required to rupture the chapati strip, and also how much distance it is able to extend. So we are measuring the extensibility and the rupture strength of the chapati. So these are the tensile grips, okay? And the tensile grips, first of all, like we had done earlier, we are going to first of all calibrate the height, because it is all based on the measurement of distance. So we need to calibrate the height.
अगर उसको खींच के देख रहे हैं कितना फैल वाला फैलता नहीं है पूरी
देखा.
Okay, so since we have chapati, our sample is quite soft, and it may get ruptured because by the hard probes which are going to hold it. We have devised a simple mechanism of inserting rubber sheets between the sample and the probe in order to prevent damage to the sample.
सीधा लोहा होगा
Okay, so the sample is here. And we are going to pull it at a particular rate. So going to pull it at the rate of 1 mm per second. Okay, and our target distance is we can set it depending on the sample. So I can keep it at S25. I believe it should start the test. So you can see the rupture starting right from the middle. Okay, and since there are two layers, both the layers are separated, I believe. Yes, they are separated. Yeah, yeah. So get a curve like this, all right? And we analyze the data and we get two parameters, that is resistance to extension, okay? That is how much it is preventing the extension to happen. So that is indicating the strength of the material. But chapati should be soft, so it is only offering 131.88 grams resistance to extension, which is good enough. And the extensibility was 83.73, which is very high. So that means it is a pretty good chapati you can have. So that's all. So you have extensibility and results, and you can actually compare different types of chapatis with different additives, or in case with a stale chapati, or you use multi-grains to make the chapatis, and you can aim to bring the properties closer to the wheat chapati. So always we use wheat chapati as a control, yes, for our samples. Whatever sample we are using for the wheat, usually we use as a control, positive control, because our target is to prepare chapatis similar to wheat. So thank you, Shalini, for such a wonderful explanation. You did a very good job for all these means, all the three parameters you explained very well. Thank you, Shalini.
So Dr. Suneha, over to you.
Yeah, so that is how we are checking different properties of, we check the properties at floor level, at dough level, and at chapati level. So that's all about today's practical. If you have any query, then you are most welcome. You can ask.
I think, as usual, no questions, no interaction, no discussion. So anyway, Dr. Sunia, really, this was a very good effort because many of the things, I think this was new for most of the panelists, and especially different parameters for characterizing the chapati, and especially how to make this or how to regenerate this vital wheat gluten, or how to extract this vital wheat gluten. So really, this was very informative. So whole day today we discussed about one product, that is Halur, starting from different aspects of discovery to how to make Halur, and then how to characterize that Halur. So I think for the benefit of panelists, I'll show you the packet of Halur. So just 1 minute, let me remove this virtual background. Yeah, so this is the packet of Halur, which was designed by Dr. Goswami and team. So even backside you can see, so all the nutritional composition and information about this has been mentioned, and it is very attractive. Yes.
I have the designing and the packaging, as this was hard work of the Dr. Shelly Praveen ma'am. The whole idea was her, and we were a bit contributed, but a lot of effort by Shelly for designing of this package.
So idea is that since this is virtual, so we can only show you the virtual, but if you would have been in presence here, so definitely you would have loved to distribute each one of you with one Halur packet. But then still you are most welcome whenever you are giving a visit to Delhi. So please come to our division, and we'll love to share this product with you. So 10th day was dedicated to Halur, and then we discussed almost all the dimensions of this product. Still, if you have any question queries, you are most welcome. You can contact any of us for any information which you want. So on this brief note, I think today, so we have completed the session which we have planned. Tomorrow we have talk, and then followed by valedictory. So now I request all of you to be present tomorrow, because it will be 1-to-1, and if you are absent, we are not going to give you the e-certificates. So that is sure. So please present there and be ready with your feedback, because most probably our course directors, she will ask you about your feedback about the training program and about your suggestions. So just be ready with that and be on time, so that we'll have a very good interactive valedictory session. So with this brief note, once again, let me thank each one of you for your presence in this virtual platform, because really it's difficult to spare 2.5 hours continuously on the online mode. But still, now everything is done. We have last 2 days with us. So please, I request, please interact with your team members, with your other panelists. Then only you'll able to work in a team, you'll able to make a relationship. So please interact, discuss, even after this training program also. So with this brief note, thank you all. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, sir, please.
Sir, can we get this Halur from IRI?
That's what I told. Anytime you are most welcome. You please give a visit and then have this Halur from us.
And sir, what is the cost per kg of flax?
And for first packet, it will be free.
No, sir, means anyway, sir, like for example, if someone asks from us that, and if we popularize this pearl millet flour, so means we have to tell them.
Dr. Anita,
yes,
now it is also available on Amazon. With if you type soft bajra atta or soft makka atta, now is a firm which are selling this product. They have taken license from us. We have signed MOU together. Now it is available on Amazon.
Okay, ma'am. One thing more, like ma'am, earlier it was means in previous lectures it was said that like keeping quality is 7 to 8 days. So when you have incorporated this gluten, so keeping quality is enhanced or it is still same?
Yeah, it is enhanced because one of the major factors which deteriorates the quality and cause rancidity is the typhomus. Usually we keep it in the open, or it means moisture, air, light. These are the major factors which play important role in rancidity. So, and because of its packaging, because we packed it in the brown packet, and and it is sealed. So air, moisture, light, everything is cut off. So of course its shelf life is improved up to 2-3 months.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Any other queries? Any other questions?
Sir, one more thing. Sir, on 11th or 12th day, it has been written on the brochures that we have to prepare the slides. So, shall we have to prepare the slides for tomorrow or not?
Day after tomorrow, ma'am. If you recall,
Yeah.
our director, she told that 11th we are going to shift to 12th, and 12th
Yes,
program
sir.
we are going to shift to 11th.
Okay.
Just have one or two slides. It is just to know about you and your planning, nothing else.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
So I think with this, we'll end today's session. Thank you. Thanks a lot for joining. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.